to this experimental watch party. This should be fun. I hope it's not me talking to myself. If you're here for the live chat, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. If you're here for the replay, sorry you didn't make it, but it's always good to have you here one way or the other. Today we're doing Flip Through Friday, a flip through of some of my favorite holiday books. For years, I collected books of all kinds, mainly textbooks. I'm a bit of a textbook junkie. For those of you who don't know, college English professor, teach all things writing, literature, composition, journalism, anything having to do with writing and literature. So I love textbooks and essays and nonfiction work, but I just love books in general. And so for a long time, I collected Christmas books. I would get one every year to read. I try to put as many lights as will fit on my Christmas tree. And at the end, I will tack on a bit of my Christmas decoration tour, so you can see some of the things that I have out that I thought you might get a kick out of. That's at the end. But I try to put as many lights on the tree as I possibly can, and so I can read a book by the light of the tree. It makes me feel very old-fashioned, you know, like reading by candlelight, sort of. And so consequently, I have quite a few of those books. But there's a saying that goes something like this. We spend the first half of our life collecting things, and the second half of our life trying to get rid of them, because of course, we all have too much stuff. So those of you who are still in the collecting phase, tread lightly, because it's a lot of work to get rid of it later. Anyway, these are a few of my favorites that I've kept. I have weeded it out and donated several of them. I've only kept a large handful. We'll start here at the top. A Cup of Comfort for Christmas. Stories that celebrate the warmth, joy, and wonder of the holiday. Now, most of these kinds of books are written by everyday people, sort of like letters to the editor, heartwarming holiday stories of ordinary people with extraordinary moments. We all are ordinary people, and we all have extraordinary moments in our life, and a lot of it oftentimes comes around the holidays. Going back to collecting books and reading by the firelight, is there a tradition that you have personally that you do, not with the whole family, but just something that is yours, all yours? Like I read, when I read my books by the light of the Christmas tree, I do it at the end of the day. It's usually pretty late. It's very quiet. I only have the noise of the fireplace going, snap, crackle, and pop. And I read. If I'm honest, I also watch the lights on the tree, which just mesmerize me. I watch the lights on the tree, and I read, and I rock in my favorite rocking chair, and I just decompress at the end of the day. I try to do that December 1st through the end of the year, so that I feel like I've had some downtime and some rejuvenation time, so that when that new year comes around, I'm ready and I feel recharged and ready to meet it head on. Do you have any of those just personal little things that you do for yourself during the holiday season? I'd love to know. So these are primarily written by normal everyday people. And I have a couple of those left that I kept, mostly because I liked the covers, not necessarily the stories. Again, I read a lot, and most of it's professional writing that's been professionally edited. And so while these stories are heartwarming, as a English teacher, they're painful to read. So I kind of fell out of love with reading this kind of thing. I also, there's also, there used to be anyway, a few novels, but they're so cheesy. They are so schmaltzy and sickly sweet that I just don't like them. So I don't have any of those left. I got rid of them. I love the cover of this one. And one of the good things about having this Swiss cheese memory sometimes my memories are full on, sometimes they're just missing pieces and parts. I know I read this, but as I was flipping through, I have absolutely no recollection of the story. So it's like getting a new book. So I may read this yet. It's pretty small. Maybe I'll read this between Christmas and New Year. I'm not sure. But I just love it. It's got deckled edges. It's a nice little book. It's called A Return to Christmas, an enchanting novel of a holiday miracle. This is written by an author who has a professional editor. It's published by Ballantine. For those of you who want to take a gander at it, there's the ISBN. And the author is Chris Heimerdinger. So here's another one that I kept primarily for the cover. This is edited by an editor, but I do believe, oh, looky there, she lives in Milan, Michigan. Oh, one of these days I'll figure out how my phone focuses and doesn't. I'm pretty sure these are written by normal everyday people. True stories of holiday cheer and goodwill. But what a pretty cover. Watercolory, illustration-y. Very, very pretty. This is edited by Helen Szymanski. I should have known with Szymanski as a last name she'd be from Michigan. And again, there's the ISBN. Come on, phone. Now I'll switch to some of the books that I've had the longest. Sometimes I would date them. I did not date them, but this one is from 1994. But it seems like it's been around forever. 94 is a good number of years back. Is that 30 years ago? Look at me go. Look at me do the math. But it's so pretty. I love this Christmas wrapping paper kind of cover. 432 things to do for yourself and others that just may make this the best Christmas ever. In the live chat or in the comments below, if you're watching after the fact, let me know about a Christmas something that just really stands out in your memory. I have a few, but one of the ones I'll share here is I used to volunteer a lot in the community, and one year I volunteered to deliver food baskets at Christmas and at Thanksgiving, and it included a big turkey and all the trimmings for a holiday meal. Potatoes and vegetables and bread and all kinds of things. I helped fundraise for it, and then I helped put the packages together and then help deliver to families. And that year, the year before, I got myself a new beautiful wool coat, and it's got faux black fur around the hood and faux black fur around the cuffs. I found a hat and a glove set that had the same black faux fur around the wrist of the gloves, and the whole hat is faux fur, black faux fur that matched the long wool coat beautifully. And in that coat, I swear, I felt like Jackie O. I just felt so elegant and, of course, warm because it's all wool. I got a screaming good deal on that coat. It wasn't terribly expensive when I bought it. It was a high dollar jacket. So I just felt like Queen Elizabeth in that jacket, or coat, I should say. And the time that I delivered it for Christmas, it was sunny, but very, very, very cold that year. And I had just gotten a new to me SUV that I had been wanting, Nissan Pathfinder. And I loaded my Nissan Pathfinder up with all these big, beautiful gifts for food baskets for these families, and drove out to deliver them. And I'll tell you what, I came back again feeling like the richest woman on the planet, having seen where these people live and how they live. A couple of them invited me into their home so I could haul the stuff into their kitchen for them. And they say that if we could all throw all of our troubles into a big vat, we would seek our own problems out when compared to others. And that is so true. You know, whatever troubles I thought I had, when I came home after delivering those food baskets, I thought, you got nothing to worry about, kid. Like, just enjoy what you have because you have so much. And that's one Christmas that just stands out in my brain. And it's one of the things I did for myself, was to volunteer, to help where I could. I recently did a post on my community tab that says, accept help when it's offered, because so often we just think, no, I'll do it. No, I got it. No, I can do it. Like, we can do everything all at once. But if somebody offers to help, accept it, because you're doing yourself a huge favor, and they want to help, and offer help where it's needed. And that's so true. They say that one of the best ways to make yourself feel better, if this happens, especially if this happens to be a dark time of year for you, or you don't really like the holidays. If you don't like the holidays, you're probably not watching this video. But if you know someone who has a dark time around the holidays, the best way to help yourself is to help somebody else. Volunteer at the soup kitchen. Go to the animal shelter and volunteer to clean up or walk the dogs or play with the cats. Do a food drive, do a bottle drive. There's so much you can do to help other people, and that will make you feel so much better. One of the things that I think people get stuck on, and this is kind of PCU stuff, I apologize for bringing it here, but sometimes these things just come up, and I take the bird walk. But one of the problems that I see when people are feeling horrible and just in a dark place, it's because their focus is so narrow. You know, they're in this tiny, tiny little pocket of their own little world, and it can go sideways fast on you if you've got nothing bigger to focus on. But if you want to help the critters at the animal shelter, that's bigger than you. That's outside of you, but it's something you can do. Raise money for the dogs, raise money to buy new beds for the cats. If you find a focus that's bigger than you, a dream, go after it, versus getting stuck in this little tiny circle of depression, and it can cycle down really fast and get really dark. I know this because I've been there. More on this on PCU in the coming year. But here are 432 things you can do for yourself and others that just might make this the best Christmas ever, by H. Jackson Brown Jr. and Rosemary Brown and Kathy Peel. And they're just bite-sized little bits. Take a basket of Christmas goodies to your local fire and police stations. My friend Leanne quite often orders pizza and sends it to the guys at the cop shop, or sends it to the firehouse and the paramedics just on a Wednesday in July, like, just because. Remember those who are there all the time waiting to help us. Wear a smile and a Santa hat when you walk through the mall. Look how antiquated this is. Now I wear my pretty holiday mask. I'll flash a picture up here because it's just so cute. And my Santa hat, sometimes, not always, but certainly always my beautiful little Christmas mask, and it makes people smile, even though they hate seeing masks. When they see what it is, oh, I like your mask. Left turn, bird walk, look at me go. Yesterday I had to go out there and get some last minute Christmas gifts. And one lady behind the counter looked at me over her glasses with kind of an attitude, and she said, "Are you sick?" Because of course I have my mask on. And I looked at her over my own glasses and I said, "No, and I don't want to be." Oh, good. You know, and her mood just turned around. That's an adorable mask. Yeah, I know how you are. I used to do this all the time. Sprinkle red and green Christmas confetti in cards and envelopes. Not only Christmas confetti, but birthday confetti and Easter confetti and confetti and confetti. And I haven't done that for probably 25 years. And people are still trying to get revenge because I did it every time. And every time they'd fall for it. I stopped doing it, though, when I had all kinds of dogs. And we started to have little kids in our family. I thought, oh, God, all I need is somebody to eat one and I'd be in trouble, so I quit doing it. Answer your phone simply by saying Merry Christmas or Good Morning instead of the typical hello. It changes people's mood. It changes things for people. It jars them into a good mood, whether they want to be or not. Ooh. Throw orange and tangerine peels into your fire for spicy aroma. So there's little things and big things. Donate money, donate time, spend time with family, things that you can do to make your life easier. I love this little book. Little Book of Christmas Joys. There's the ISBN. Little Book of Christmas Joys. Probably on eBay. Christmas Joy. I love Susan Branch. She does watercolor and she's amazing. And so when I saw this book of Christmas Joy, I absolutely had to have it. And it's just filled with ideas to gift wrap your cookies, different ways to give homemade goodies. The best gifts are tied with heartstrings. The gift of enthusiasm, the gift of wonder, the gift of love. Let's look at wonder. The gift of wonder, fill your child's closet with balloons so that when he or she opens it, there's a big surprise. Do that for your sibling. Do that for your spouse. Anybody would love it. Give the gift of contentedness. Stop everything and count your blessings. Now, this can be hard for people too. Everybody's big on gratitude journals. Gratitude sometimes is hard to come by, but appreciation and contentment, there's something going good today. You're watching this video. You have a place to watch it. You either have a smartphone, you have electricity. I mean, there's a lot of really good things going on, even though they're small, and we just take them for granted. Take a minute or 5 and count all of the things that you have today, right this minute, to appreciate. And then it says, have a nice glass of champagne in front of the fire with the one you love. That might be your cat, and it might be a White Russian, or a cup of coffee, or hot cocoa and marshmallows, and it might be an electric fireplace, or huge. This is a huge thing. In YouTube, there's beautiful fireplaces. In fact, I will put one below that includes Boston Terriers, go figure, in front of a fireplace. But you can just get the fireplace, put it on your big screen TV, and listen to that. It's fantastically relaxing. Leanne and I, when we worked at the ER together, we were registrars in the ER, and we would put on a fireplace on one of our extra computer monitors, and it made all the difference for patients. They loved seeing that. Oh, that's so festive. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, I love that. Makes a huge difference. It's so relaxing, and you don't have to worry about sparks and fire and smoke alarms and any of that. It's perfect, wonderful. Give the gift of yourself. Your time can be the most precious gift. A phone call or a letter. Cook a lovely dinner. Set a pretty table and invite good friends. That's what I'm doing this year. I'm hosting Christmas here. I always host for me and my parents, but this year I'm hosting for my aunt and uncle as well, and I'm quite looking forward to it. Beautiful book, wonderfully illustrated. I just love everything about this book. The Christmas Joy book by Susan Branch. And I see she still has, I've liked her, I think, since the 80s, late 80s, early 90s. And she still has annual calendars. I saw one just the other day for 2024. So she's still producing beautiful work. There she is. And there's the Isbin. This was a gift from one of my book club members. Christmas stocking inspiration for the festive season. And it's all beautiful critters. Christmas Eve is a night of song. Christmas restores the old man, the pleasures of his childhood. Remembrance, like a candle, burns brightest at Christmas time. Remember the reason for the season. That, for many of us, is very different. And you can have your own reasons for enjoying Christmas. It doesn't have to be anybody else's reason. Christmas memories gather and dance like snowflakes. Look at that beautiful face. Of course, I love this one just because. Just look at loving up mama. Loving up mama. So sweet. There's the Isbin. Oh, what a beautiful creature. Christmas stocking, inspiration for the festive season. This one's fun, a nice chunky little sort of a block book, but it's not a board book. It is just a huge book. How many pages is in here? 739 pages. I love that it has an index, because how would you ever find anything? There's recipes for everything from beverages and cocktails through dessert. Oh, there's my favorite. I love White Russians. I love Kahlua in anything. Kahlua in eggnog, Kahlua in Coke, Kahlua on the rocks, Kahlua over ice cream. Yes, please. I am a Kahlua girl. But I'm willing to experiment. I'm open to suggestions. Do you have a favorite holiday cocktail, mocktail, whichever? We do Kahlua and creams pretty much at every holiday. White Russians, Kahlua and cream. And of course at Christmas, like I said, Kahlua and eggnog. Are you an eggnog fan? Yes, no. Some people love it. Some people hate it. My dad has this place that he used to go down in Detroit, near Detroit, that people literally line up around the block to get a miniature little milk. It looks just like a gallon of milk, but it's maybe a pint. It's just tiny. Maybe a quart. And of eggnog, homemade eggnog. And it is so thick, it's more like custard. It's crazy thick. Makes my mom gag. But my dad and I absolutely spaz over it. This has some pretty illustrations. It's pretty plain as far as a book goes, but it's got poems, some Christmas stories, The Gift of the Magi, The Nutcracker, A Christmas Carol. Looky there. It's like Cliff's Notes style. I don't imagine the entire Christmas Carol is here in 110 pages. Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. So stories, poems, recipes. Anything else? Sweet treats. Holiday tips. How to wrap gifts. How to plan for the holidays. How to choose gifts for just about everyone. I'm not quite sure why I'm keeping this other than I love the cover. It makes a great Christmas decoration for a small space, oddly enough, because it's a huge, but it has a small footprint. Looks good on the shelf. You know, it's pretty, so I kept it. I think I got this one at a St. Vinny's haul, pretty sure. And I got it because, oh yeah, it's a gift for Cindy from Mom and Dad. It's a Hallmark book, and it doesn't appear that it's ever been opened, which is very sad. But it's beautiful. This one is called At the Heart of Christmas, with the art of Paul Landry. It's a Hallmark gift book from 2001. But look at the watercolor. I think it's watercolor. Could be oil. Not sure. Might even be acrylic. I don't know, but it's gorgeous. I wonder if it says. Is there information back here about Mr. Landry? Nope. Does it have any information? Nope. Nothing about the author or the way he works, the medium. But it's just gorgeous. And of course I kept it for the artwork. There's quotes in here. Laura Ingalls Wilder. Such magic there is in Christmas to draw the absent ones home. Our hearts grow tender with childhood memories and love of kindred. And we are better, having in spirit become a child again at Christmas. Absolutely beautiful book. Are you going to have a white Christmas this year? We are having a brown and green Christmas. We're going to have rain for 3 days around Christmas, but no snow. And we have no snow, which is very unusual for this time of year. Look. Doesn't it just look so inviting and wonderful and welcoming how the lights just glow out of the homes? You just want to go there, ride your horse and buggy there, and beautiful. Nice full moon in that one. So gorgeous. Oh, little Beasley. Sorry about the glare. Anyway, some poems, H.W. Longfellow, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. There's a quote in here from Charles Dickens. Something from Taylor Morgan, just in case you were hoping for a quote from Taylor Morgan. Oh, I just love this. So if I don't have the energy to read a book, I would flip through this and just marvel at the wonderful art. Found a couple of old ideals. They're not terribly Christmassy, but they have some Christmas stuff in. This one's called Hearthside. So of course, there's nothing like a fireplace in the winter time, at Christmas time. Popcorn with the family, going inside after being outside in the cold, finding your tree. So I used to get my mom an ideals every Christmas. So that brings my own memories back, and I think these old pictures brought her memories back. You know, listening to the old-time radio. I love listening to old-time radio, especially at Christmas time. Slows things down a little bit. So I have a couple of those and other old-fashioned ideals. Again, not terribly Christmassy, just very nostalgic in and of themselves. Oh, I wanted to show you this. This is one of my favorite things ever. So do you remember, I hope you saw it, Karen sent me a wonderful happy mail just full of stuff. And one of the things in there was this crabby chic. I am completely adopting this lifestyle. We've heard of shabby chic, of course. This is more my style. And last year we had a white elephant gift because, you know, in our family we go way crazy over Christmas. It's not a big family. We don't have a lot of people in our family, and yet we unwrap gifts for between 6 and 8 hours on Christmas Eve when our family is together. We have to break for meals. We open gifts, and then we have appetizers, and then we open gifts, and we have dinner, and then we open gifts the rest of the night because the kids get tired and bored of opening gifts. And we have not learned our lesson. It just keeps getting worse every year. And because, you know, that wasn't enough, we decided, let's do a white elephant Christmas gift this last year. Which, if you don't know what a white elephant Christmas is, it's different for everybody, I'm sure. But what we did is we decided, I think it was $10 to $15 limit. And we had to buy something goofy or fun or odd or whatever that would be fun, and then we drew names or numbers out of a hat. And so one person gets to pick, they get to pick anything from the white elephant table and unwrap it, and then the next person gets to pick either the one that they got or something to open off the thing. And then, you know, we just made a huge game of it, and it was terrific fun. But at the end, this was one of the things, and I'm sure they bought it thinking, that is the ugliest thing I have ever seen in my life. But I think it is phenomenal. I think my mom ended up with this somehow, and I horse traded it. Actually, she probably just gave it to me because she's like, oh my God, that's the ugliest thing I ever saw. But it's all beads, and it's just beautiful, and it's crabby chic. Isn't it wonderful? Oh my God. I absolutely love it. So I wanted to share that with you. It is by Merry Christmas is who makes it. Decorative pillow, extra Merry Christmas. This is what it's. So fun. You just never know where the good things are going to come from. You just never know. Some of the things that I collect for Christmas, I collect because they're beautiful art. I used to be a cat person. I used to just love cats all the time. Love cats. Get the tree back in there a little bit. And I got this because of the artwork. Just phenomenal artwork. And it's a story about a Christmas kitty hiding from all the hoopla. But, oh, so pretty. Santa riding through the night. But isn't he wonderful? He's so pretty. Looking up through the tree. playing in the snow. That is Margaret Wise Brown and Anne Mortimer, A Pussycat's Christmas. This I thought was great fun. The Night Before Christmas Treasury Collection. There's an Isbin. This is from 1989, and it's a pop-up book. Remember those pop-up books? Of The Night Before Christmas. So all the presents are 3D, the tree is 3D, the bed is 3D, the canopy is 3D. Isn't that great fun? And there's Santa by the tree, putting 3D presents down. Between the glow, the tree, and the angle, it's kind of difficult. More beautiful art. And then he rides off. So it's just a small little skinny book, but it's magical. I love this book. And another version of The Night Before Christmas. This one is illustrated by Cheryl Harness. And like the cat book, it is so beautiful. Kind of a vintage opening paper. This one is also from 1989. Look how vintage those colors. A little mouse with his little wreath living in the stairs. He's got a little stocking out there. There he is. Kitties on the chair, books on the shelf, the old time clock. So this one's much bigger than the 3D one. Beastly snoozing on the chair, on this blanket, and the kitty's got the other chair, as it should be. Speaking of Beastlies, at the end of this, I'm going to post just a quick picture of what I made for my uncle, my uncle the captain, my uncle the lakes pilot, also loves dogs. I will show you what I made for him for Christmas. I'm going to have to make myself one. It's sugar plum, dreams of sugar plums. Visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. On my Christmas tree, I'll show you, I have some vintage, they're more than 50-year-old frosted sugar plums. I guess that's what makes them sugar plums. They're sugared, right? I guess I don't have to say frosted. Just a beautiful, beautiful book. Do you have any old special ornaments on your tree? When I show you my tree at the end, Mom said she had 6 sugar plums. I only have 4 left. And we used to have a little Christmas village that hung on the tree, and I have a couple of those on there as well. Lots of vintage ornaments that are very sentimental on my tree. And I have a whole box of really special ornaments. It's a wine box, a case that, you know, if you go to the liquor store and ask them for a wine box, they come with all those dividers. And, oh, it's perfect for storing Christmas ornaments. And I have one of those full of nostalgic, sentimental ornaments. But I don't put them on. Truth be told, I can't find the box. It's in my basement somewhere. Anyway, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful book. Look at that tree. It just glows with... I remember seeing things like this when I was a kid, and they were so magical to me. It felt like watching a movie. So I love this one. We're coming in on the home stretch here. This one is, I prefer the vintage colors on my tree rather than the bright red and green of modern time. I like a more muted, sort of a barn red, deep barn red, and toned down green. And this is a Reader's Digest condensed books. It's smaller than the normal one. I don't know why. It's just a whisper smaller than the regular Reader's Digest condensed books. It's a little bit skinnier even. But I've been tearing bits and pieces out. It is not a Christmas collection. It's got something by Churchill and Here Comes the Bride and nothing about Christmas, but I thought it was so Christmassy. I'm going to put a piece of material over this part, leave the gold Reader's Digest and flower. I'm going to leave the green and the gold trim here. And it's just a perfect, I might put Christmas on here somehow on a book plate. This is going to be a vintage glue book to hold vintagey looking stuff. Doesn't he seem very vintage? This is from the 90s. It seems more like the 70s to me. But I've been cutting out just bits and pieces of vintage stuff. Of course I have a more modern version going, but I wanted to show you this book. I haven't done any gluing. I removed all of the illustrations, the pages with illustrations. And what I'm going to do is glue, remember film? Cameras that took film? Remember that? Could only take so many because we only had 24 on the roll, and this is my last roll, and Kmart's closed on Christmas. Shout out to Jean Bainey. Kmart, yay. I'm gonna glue here, and then glue some in the back, and remove pages as I go, because I want it to stay straight. So I haven't done any gluing in. I'm just in the collecting stages. And truth be told, it is December, what is today? Well, we're watching this on December 22nd. I have 2 extra large totes that are filled to capacity with Christmas junk journal stuff. Papers and magazines and books and projects and altered books and glue books and I haven't even opened them. I have not even brought them out of the closet this year because I'm trying to work into January right now, so I'm not doing as much junk journaling right now as I am PCU stuff, Positively Creative You, so that I can kick off the new year right. So I haven't even got into the Christmas stuff, and I haven't even missed it. Last 2. This I found at a thrift haul this year at St. Vinny's. It's called A Christmas Treasury of Yuletide Stories and Poems. My first glance at this was, oh, it's pretty, I like the cover, but I'm tired of reading stories by Joe Blow and people who write letters to the editor and never get edited. Then I flipped it over. I am so glad I did, because looky here. Laura Ingalls Wilder, Robert Frost, T.S. Eliot, Washington Irving, Leo Tolstoy, Lewis Carroll, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, Charles Dickens, O. Henry, Nathaniel Hawthorne, Louisa May Alcott, Hans Christian Andersen, Robert Louis Stevenson, Ogden Nash, Oscar Wilde, Elizabeth Barrett Browning, Bret Harte, and many others. Holy moly. I about skipped right out of the store. Christmas stories by real writers that have been edited, and there are a few beautiful illustrations. And again, this book looks like it's never even been opened. It is in absolute pristine, perfect condition. The dust jacket is intact. Beautiful red end papers. Christmas Treasury. Just an exquisite book. So I keep one of these in my bedroom and another one out by the tree, and that's this year's Christmas reading. And finally, what brings us this video. This is my copy of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. I have a paperback copy that I found at a thrift store, and it was a children's library, like a classroom library, and so it was just a little paperback, and the cover was torn off a little bit, and it was really battered and beaten. But I got it anyway to use in my projects. Wherever I'm using a book page, I'm going to use a Christmas book page, something from A Christmas Carol, when I do embellishments and ephemera and all that stuff. But of course, I'm not cutting on my books. No, I got it at the thrift store, a book that was destined to be thrown away because it was in such bad shape. So I like to do that. If I'm working on a garden book, the book pages that I use are garden related. If I'm working on a Christmas book, they're Christmas related. But this is my version of A Christmas Carol. And a lot of this Flip Through Friday is inspired by Janet Nash having her grandmother's copy of A Christmas Carol from, I believe it's the 1890s, 1890, 1891. That was her grandmother's. From her mom, I think. So her great-grandmother gave it to her grandmother, and now Janet has it. It's gorgeous and wonderful, and she said she reads it every year, and I just think that's magical. That's one of the best holiday things ever. And so I have my own copy, and I plan to read it. I've had it for years. I put it out because it's beautiful Christmas decoration. It is beautifully illustrated. Nice, hearty book. I'll do this before I forget. I'll show you the Isbin. The back cover with that stained glass window and the old wooden door. So pretty. Sketches. And this is from 2008. So beautiful. This is A Christmas Carol. There's an intro, a Victorian Christmas, and an illustrator note, which I so wish the Hallmark book would have included, and A Christmas Carol, and also Charles Dickens' story, A Christmas Tree, and then information on further reading. Look at this simple, tiny little holly leaf. And so we've got the door knocker, and the door knocker comes to life. I remember Janet in one of her live streams recently was saying she started reading about the door knocker. That's one of her favorite parts. She kept reading and she said, once you start, you just can't stop. And I just thought that was absolutely precious. I love that. So it has all different shapes and sizes, just a small little illustration, and then a 2-page spread of wonderful art. And for a long time, for a couple years, I was making book beads. Actually, I called them book thongs because you stick them in the crack of your book. It's just waxed thread or a couple of layers of embroidery thread beads, and in this particular case, little tiny jingle bells. You stick them in your crack. You know, it's just a wonderful, simple bookmark. But when the book is closed, it adds just a little bit of festive. So, you know, there you go. A tiny little tutorial. This was made for a bigger book. Obviously, it's a little bit too long, but I've used it in this book for years. This is as far as I've gotten so far. Of course, I took it out of the page, so who knows where I was. But this is my absolute favorite. A beautiful Christmas card from my parents, white on white. I keep a lot of my Christmas stuff that says Merry Christmas. My mom's got beautiful handwriting. Love Mom and Dad. Usually she puts right down in the corner what year it was, and this one doesn't have that. Doesn't matter. Beautiful artwork. But I keep the little tags too. I just find them very magical and whimsical. And they remind me of being a kid. Another memory that I have, my grandma had a Christmas wrapping station down in the basement where she kept all her wrapping stuff, and she had a couple card tables set up, and one of my favorite things to do is go down and just look at the name tags and see which boxes were mine with all those festive wrapping papers and the little tiny, these little guys, they're just plain and simple. But and I still have quite a few that say to Carrie from Graham on there. The Christmas tree ones were always my favorite. I still keep them all. I'm going to put them in my glue books and my junk journals from that year because I just love them. So that was one of my very favorite things from when I was a kid. I never snooped. I was never a snooper. Were you a snooper? Did you snoop? Like, see what Mom and Dad brought you before Christmas? I could never do that. I have such a guilty conscience, and I knew that Mom and Graham worked so hard to make sure Christmas was special and make sure that I had a good Christmas and that I got what I wanted, that to spoil that surprise for myself, for them, it would break their hearts if I knew. And I knew that somehow as a little kid. I knew that snooping was just awful. All my cousins did it. My friends all did it. They all knew everything they were having before Christmas. And I thought that sucked. I just hated that whole idea. But I did go down and look at all the presents and say, oh, that one's mine. Oh, that one. And I'd lift them, and I'd try not to, move anything so she didn't know I was snooping. I never opened anything. I didn't want to know until Christmas, but I wanted to know which ones were mine and how many, and just, it was so cool seeing. And of course, this is where it started, this out of hand Christmas stuff. My grandma didn't have a lot of money. She was a Depression era. She got married just after, in the midst of she was a young kid and a teenager during the Depression. She got married in the 40s. And so she was a Depression era grandma in that, you know, every penny counted, and she had to make everything fair. There's 3 grandchildren, and if she spent $25.25 on Mel and only 25 on me, I got a quarter, because it had to be to the penny equal. But even so, at Christmas time, there were gifts galore, and we always got just what we wanted. We'd unwrap gifts, and then when I was little, someone, usually my aunt, would take me out in the back. Sometimes we fed the reindeer, sometimes we went downstairs to get something, sometimes we went out in the kitchen for a drink, and bells would ring. And when I'd come back into the room, Santa had come, and there were all kinds of presents around the tree that were unwrapped, but they had bows, because Santa brought them. He didn't have time to wrap everything. He wraps a lot, but not everything. And so Grandma wrapped the gifts, Santa didn't wrap the gifts, and there was all kinds of new presents around the tree that had bows and my name on it. And I just missed Santa. They'd ring the bell, and out the door he'd go. They'd slam the door. Years later, when my cousins had babies, we did it for them. My dad has a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Santa suit. He used to drive a school bus, and he would dress up as Santa on the school bus. So he became Santa. They'd ring the bells. I would take the little ones out, and we'd go feed the reindeer, or we'd go downstairs and get something, and the bells would ring, and I knew that was my cue to bring them back in. And there was Santa. He put all the gifts around the tree, and he was still at the door, and we caught him. Oh my God, we caught him. One year, the girl that I made the dark fairy tale themed Christmas gift for her wedding this year, she was about 5. Pretty sure she was just 5 years old. Fainted, dead away, face first right into the carpet at the sight of Santa. Her eyes got as big as saucers, and down she went. Oh, she came away. Oh, was that real? Yeah, that was real. He was here. So much fun. Anyway, we'd unwrap, and then Santa would come, and lo and behold, there was all new gifts from Santa, and we'd be all done, and we'd just be sort of basking in the afterglow of unwrapping furiously and getting all kinds of wonderful things. And then Grandma would disappear into one of the other rooms, and she'd come out with our big gifts. One year it was roller skates. One year it was a bicycle. As we got older and the family had more money, one year my aunt and uncle gave their son and his family of 3 little girls and wife a fairly new vehicle. Not brand spanking new, but it had very low mileage. It was maybe a year old. And their daughter got a whole house full of furniture. That was their big gift. Like, holy Hannah. And it just keeps getting more out of hand. We haven't had a car and a house full of furniture in a really long time, so maybe that was the peak, and now it's but at the end of all the unwrapping, there's always the big gift at the end. It's crazy. And I blame my Depression grandma on that, in that she never wanted us to be disappointed, and she was just one of the most generous people I know. Next to my mom. My mom is even more generous than my grandma was, and it's just a thing that we've always done. Christmas is out of hand at our house, and that's the way we like it. I hope that you all are enjoying the season, even though it's chaos and busy and can be very stressful, and for some very disappointing and depressing. You get what you look for. And even though you might not be super happy at Christmas, enjoy the lights, because they're beautiful. Enjoy a kitty sleeping under the tree. Enjoy some old-fashioned Christmas music, or a good read, or just enjoy some time. And turn that bus around. I'm going to give you a quick tour of some of my things that I put out for Christmas this year. It changes every year because I have way too much stuff. And I will show you what I made for my uncle for Christmas. until we meet again, thank you so much. If you came for the live chat, thank you so much. If we had fun, we'll do it again in the new year. Check out PCU if you want to turn some things around. This is the year we're going to do it. And I'm jazzed about that. So, happy holidays. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. I don't think I'll see you again until after Christmas. Go love up your bee slaves. I'll take at the lake. Out for now.